Hello, listeners. Welcome. Today, I want to talk about a topic that I worked on for quite a bit of time with one of my clients, and that is a difficult relationship that she had to manage at work. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk you through this case study with her, and I'm going to teach you the exact strategy on what I taught her and that you can immediately apply. So today is going to be short, sweet, and to the point. So I had this client and she was on a leadership team, and so she had to work very closely with this man whom they were just simply on a different wavelength. And she didn't have anything against him personally. It's simply their leadership styles were different, how they communicated was different. It just, for her, there wasn't a good fit. And this was an issue. It was an issue because she would go into leadership meetings tense. Anytime that she had to work with him, she would go into those interactions already worked up and just simply feeling a little bit anxious already. So it was really bothering her, and it was taking up a lot of mental energy, which is also a huge issue if you're thinking about a relationship constantly instead of putting your brain to better use. And so, as a reminder, in the coaching that I do with leaders, the first 2 months are based on what I call the foundations. So that's the relationship that you have to yourself. And you can go back and listen to, I think it's episode 18 on that. And then there are 3 pillars: the relationship we have with others, the relationship that we have with time, and your leadership identity. So last week, I talked about your relationship with time and boundaries. That was an amazing interview, if you have not listened to it yet, with Karen Gombault around boundaries and setting boundaries. And so today I want to talk a little bit. So that would be part of time, relationship with time and how you manage time and protect your energy. Today, improving relationship with others is a key leadership skill that you can have, and it can be done very, very easily. And so that is what I'm going to talk to you about. If you go in to any conversation, and this can be at work, it can be with your significant other, it can be with just anybody. If you go into a conversation believing that the other person is at least 10% right, that will completely change the dynamic of the conversation and ultimately the relationship. So I'm going to say that again. Go into every single conversation thinking that the other person is at least 10% right, and that will change your relationship with them and improve your relationship over time. And I want to push this even a step further. Not only do I encourage you to believe that the other person is at least 10% right, the idea is to force yourself to find something that you sincerely believe or you find interesting in what they said. So the idea is to consciously go into conversations looking for something that you appreciate, looking for that 10%. And in full transparency, this comes directly from positive intelligence. I am a positive intelligence coach. It's all of the work that is done by Shirzad Shamin. And what I'm teaching you today is a very simple tool that you learn in my coaching program. And finding that 10% right, finding something that you sincerely appreciate and then voicing it. Telling the other person, what I like about your idea is, and you are specific and you tell them, or what I like about what you are saying is. And I want you just to pause and listen. There's a nuance in there. We're not saying I'm not saying I like what you said. I'm saying what I like about what you said. And that is a very big difference because a lot of times we don't agree with a lot of what people are saying. But I 100% guarantee that you can find something in what they are saying that you like. And then the idea is simply to build off of it, to build off of what you like. So you listen to the other person and you say, what I like about that idea is, okay, because be honest with yourself. How many times does your brain immediately go to, that's a stupid idea. Why are they bringing that up? We'll never be able to implement that. That's where the brain goes. And that's completely normal that's how the brain functions. But if you force yourself to listen, find something you like, and tell the other person, the benefits are incredible. Okay? The first benefit when you work like this and when you function like this is it forces you to listen. You go into conversations, and this is exactly what happened with my client. When she went into the conversation with that colleague saying, okay, I'm going to find something that I like in what he is saying, it forces her to listen and listen authentically and listen with empathy and compassion. That's the first benefit. The second benefit is that the other person feels seen and heard. And that's like a basic human need, to feel seen and heard. And so when you are playing back something that they said, they feel seen and heard. And then you build on the idea. So what I heard you say, what I like about what you said is, and then that actually inspires another idea. And you put something on the table. So it completely opens up the conversation and the dialogue. And I guarantee you, try it. It is that simple. People will be much more open because you are open. And because they're like, oh, she's actually interested in what I have to say, then the whole energy of the conversation changes. Now, it seems very, very simple. This completely changed the dynamic with my colleague, with my client and her colleague. So I'm not saying that it's easy to do overnight, but it's something that you can practice. Go into your next meeting or go into the one-on-one that you're going to have with your team. Listen, say, okay, I'm going to find something that I like in what they're saying. And I find this is particularly useful for people like you're just not on the same wavelength with them, and that there's always some kind of level of conflict. If you just go in and say, okay, this is what I like about what you said, and it inspires a new idea. I 100% guarantee It will change the dynamic and change the relationship. And that is what happened with my client and her colleague. The relationship that they have today is so much better because she took the first step. And when it comes to improving relationships, that is all it takes, is one person. And try it with your husband or a significant other. I guarantee you it is the same exact thing. Rather than going in already, because if you go into a conversation and you're already feeling resentment and anger and frustration, then you're not going to be open. You're not going to be listening. You're not going to, and your body is going to be sending off actually negative energy. Just try it, please, listeners. And then I would love to hear back what happened, because I guarantee it will completely change the dynamic of the relationship. That's what I've got for you today. Short, sweet, and to the point. But improving relationships is such an important part of leadership. And you, as the leader, it is your job to set the tone. It is your job to show up as the adult. It is your job to set the example. It is your job to bring that empowered, curious, open energy to the table. Because when you do that, that will influence and rub off. It's completely contagious. Energy is contagious on other people. So that is one way that you can easily and simply improve your relationships at work. Have a great week, and we'll speak soon.